Google Docs?
The Google Drive where you
Shouldn't
can
change.
save stuff. Okay. Videos and audios probably would take up space, but
Word files? Yeah.
Word files you'd be able
I
to
have to.
save.
Yeah, I have to start using it. And remembering to back everything up. Yeah. If we get my computer working, then we can do that. Okay, so they're coming. It's 8:15 in Australia. They're coming online now, and I don't know how many of you from Australia were here last week, but the topic is love. So we talked about. I haven't talked about Krishna's love for his devotees. Talked about the definition of lust and love, and then we talked about the love the devotee has for non-devotees and why he has it. And then we started talking about, Alana wanted me to talk about the love a devotee has for Krishna. And then I told her that the topic of love for Krishna is a technical topic because it's written in our scriptures at various levels of prema. And that's a whole other discussion that I wasn't ready to talk about because I need to study it a little more because it's quite technical. You've studied it before? Different levels of rag, anurag, sneha, bhav, mahabhav. Yeah, it's a whole. And even when you discuss it, you may not understand it that well. Discuss the nectar devotion in Jaiva Dharma. So I said we would put that off for a while, and then we would discuss. And she wanted to discuss the love the devotee has for Krishna. So we discussed it in a little different aspect, and we discussed it from the perspective of putting bhakti into expertise, and then the balance of expertise versus bhakti, and how you can ruin bhakti by focus on expertise, and where is expertise required, and where would expertise then indicate bhakti, and where would expertise then indicate that you're minimizing bhakti. So that's where we ended yesterday, and that's what we were talking a little bit about this morning. So I'm going to turn the recorder on, and then we'll just waiting for people. They usually, I don't even know who's here. But anyway, I'll recap a little where we left off because it was a week ago that we talked about it. And so there was a book written by a devotee, which I don't have access to now because my computer was infected by a virus. And we're trying to reinstall Windows, and we had to erase everything on the hard drive. So all I have is my backup from about a month before. So it's probably on my backup somewhere, but I don't know where. It's not in the same place. But anyway, the devotee told the story in which the artist came to Prabhupada and they weren't satisfied with the quality of the paintings, and they asked Prabhupada to take it, study art. I don't know specifically, art school, or can you close that a little bit? That cloudy sky is really bright, isn't it? Let's close it all the way and see what happens. Oh, even more, completely. I don't know. Is that better or worse? It's not as more studio quality.
Yeah, it's less whited out.
Yeah, it's more color. Okay, that's good enough. This is not going on mainstream television. Not yet, anyway. So, and Prabhupada said, no, you shouldn't learn. He said the paintings that you've done so far are fine, and that you just keep painting, and Krishna will reveal to you how to paint. And you paint with bhakti. It's not about material expertise. So that was the basic explanation that Prabhupada gave as to why he wasn't going to. He didn't want them to go to art school. Now, as I mentioned this morning in class, in reflecting on that, one thing is that they were already artists and they already knew had fundamental skills of painting. So it wasn't like telling someone. In some cases, there may be things that you would need to learn just to get to a point where Krishna could teach you. And so, we didn't discuss that, so we want to take that into consideration. So then, the point that Prabhupada was making, which is an obvious point in bhakti, which is that it's about the bhakti, it's not about the material expertise. But then the question will come in is when does material expertise indicate bhakti? And when would material expertise get in the way of bhakti because your focus becomes more on the expert result than the consciousness with which you did it. And so this morning we talked a little bit about kirtan because this is an obvious place where material expertise does not replace bhakti, and in fact, and sometimes material expertise can destroy the kirtan. There was a story you may have heard. This devotee was a very good musician. He was in a very popular band before he was a devotee, and he was leading Guru Puja in Prabhupada's presence. And in Gaudiya Math, before Guru Puja, they chant a mantra. So he was chanting that mantra very nicely. And then I wasn't there, I've only told the story that he began leading Guru Puja. And it was more of a professional presentation because he was a professional in a band, so it was that was kind of his mood. And there were all the mridanga players, karja players, set on stage. And Prabhupada actually stopped it in the beginning and he said, "Tell him to lead." He pointed to another devotee. Pretty embarrassing for that devotee. But Prabhupada saw that the focus was on professionalism. And then there's another story. It's a little difficult to tell this story because we're talking about Prabhupada's godbrothers. And I feel reluctant because the godbrothers in this are light years ahead of me. But anyway, the instruction was that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wanted a song sung about Rupa Manjari. And so one of the good kirtan leaders sang it, who I said is light years above all of us. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati stopped him and he wanted another devotee who he felt actually understood the song better, who was not as good of a kirtanier. So, I think we know this. Cooking also is another example that when we cook, we say it's all about the devotion. When we offer something, we say it's all about the devotion. Of course, Kush will say, but there are recipes you have to follow because Krishna likes burfi, and that's how Kush thinks. Everything has to be proper. So naturally, Kush is thinking that way, and Kush is right for thinking that way. How did I know she was thinking that? Is there anything I don't know? And so, and it's true. And in that case, the following of the recipes that this is what's offered at this time of day and this is how it's made is a manifestation of your love. There's no question about that. And as a musician, I try to sing kirtan nicely, materially nice, because all musicians want things to work nicely materially. And if somebody's there and they're playing off beat, somebody's not following the melody properly, or worse, someone's singing off beat or off key, it doesn't work. And Prabhupada himself has changed mridanga players and told people to stop kartals because it gets in the way of properly executing the kirtan. But he never required that people be professional musicians to play in the kirtan. So there's obviously a certain level of expertise that's needed. To cook, there's a standard, or to do kirtan so people can sing, and otherwise it makes it really difficult. And then we have